Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Today we have Ashley Ball, aka Builder Baker Boy Mom on Instagram. Today we're talking all things homeschooling, baking, DIY, how to be self-taught, and so much more. So we hope you stick around and thank you for being here.
Welcome to Under the Sun Podcast. I'm Ilea.
And I'm Irene. Grab a cup of coffee and your comfiest sweats and join us every Monday as two best friends discuss everything from raising free-range gremlins to business and really everything under the sun.
Let's get started and thanks for being here.
Welcome to the podcast. No, I ate really fast.
That was a really quick intro. You're like, good, welcome to the podcast. And I was like, are you hungry?
We have one of my best friends, Ashley Ball, here today. So I thought about something. Today so this is the friend who Jake and I met at their wedding. So if it wasn't for her getting married, you and I would not be at this table right now.
Whoa.
Yeah. So you're welcome.
Yes.
On a good day, on a bad day, sorry.
Yeah, that's weird.
Mm-hmm. It is weird.
Yeah. Also, she has the Britney headset. So that's fun.
I feel like now it's a rite of passage. Like we can't ever get our guest a real microphone because...
Why is it called the Britney headset?
Because it just looks like old school Britney stage mic.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a little loose.
Yep.
Well, you can tighten it.
You can?
Yeah, you just kind of smoosh them up.
There we go.
Our first jobs in high school, was it the mall the first or no, the mall was first and then Cato.
The mall was
Apparently
first.
We couldn't work anywhere without working together.
Cato.
We couldn't.
We worked at a mall and then saw these. It was a jacket, but it looked like a robe. But we had to have them because it was right around the time the Lucky video came out from Britney Spears. They were like towel material with puffy sleeves and like fur lined this.
Floor length.
Yes. She got the black one and I got the white one. And I have pictures of me wearing it in college.
You held on to yours for quite a while.
And I was
didn't.
Britney.
Yeah, we'll let you think.
I don't
so
think
that's
we would have
how
gotten
old we are.
No, it's funny to think now. Like, I don't think I would be friends.
No.
Like, it's weird that it's not weird.
Yes.
It's a trauma bond.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, but also I never wore makeup. I never fixed my hair. I was like, oh, well.
We did.
I just braided it all the time.
Yeah.
That's a different season of life. But yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah.
I remember I don't know if you've heard this story, you probably have, but when she first came to town, maybe it was the second time you came to town, you brought Jeanette, and then I got in the car with them to ride to like, I don't know, Texas Roadhouse or something. And they had Fergie on really loud and we're singing really loud. And I was like, I hate both of them so much.
I often tell Jake childhood stories and he's like, I would have hated you.
Oh, I know.
As a kid.
Josh
I was like,
the
well,
same way. Look at us now.
Now you're stuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have Ashley on the podcast for a lot of reasons, but she is being social media famous now, but also was on, is it called national television? I don't know how television works anymore. Streamlined television.
You were on the Amazon.
The Amazon.
The Amazon.
Yeah.
Prime Video.
So we're excited because I gave her a list of topics. I'm like, what do we talk about? And
this might end up being a two-parter. Who knows?
Yeah. But the thing was like all of them, which fits with our podcast, which is everything under the sun.
So do you want to should we have her introduce yourself and give the quick spiel of who you are? And
but there's so many.
Say
That's why it's so hard.
So as if nobody knows you, introduce who you are, what you do, and...
I'm Ashley Ball. I'm a stay-at-home mom of 4 boys. I have a cake business on the side. Kind of, well, if I want it to be full-time, it can be full-time. But I do that from home. But I also jumped heavily into DIY and now find myself building and renovating rooms for people and keeping myself busy that way.
And homeschooling all 4 of your boys.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So, all of the things.
Yay.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love it.
We have some questions that were asked on Instagram, but where do you guys want to go with it?
Do you want me to pull it up?
I think I screenshot them to make it
Oh, okay. Good.
faster. But what grade is your oldest going into?
Wait, before you start, Dave just texted me and said, found the guineas. We lost all 7 of our guineas.
How did you
They just got out. I didn't know they could...
pigs?
No, guinea fowl.
I was like,
so like birds.
Oh,
I
lost them.
No, they all got out. Everybody can relax
At least
now.
they didn't get eaten.
Well, they were out all, like, I only found 3 last night, and then the other 4 were just out And I was like, okay, well, they're like barely domesticated. They're not domesticated birds, but they eat like 5,000 ticks a day. So, but they got out, but they're babies. And today was the hottest day of the year. And so like, I've been worried, like, I know they're birds and they're there to do a purpose and whatever, but I was like, well, I don't want the babies to die. So the guineas have been found.
The guineas.
That's it.
I thought you had guinea pigs.
No,
and they
gross.
Got out. So
That would be hilarious.
I don't
Roaming your house.
no, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. What grade is your oldest going into?
7th grade. Yes.
How old is that? I was
He's
homeschooled.
12. He's 12. He'll be 13 in August. So this is a new
How old were you then when you had him?
20. I know. Isn't that weird? If I saw a 20-year-old pregnant right now, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I did it. I don't know.
I think it just, we grew up in such a weird way that you did just
yeah.
get married young.
Yeah.
And I
was
would have got
telling
married
her,
sooner, but Jake said 5 years. So
you need to be an adult.
right? Yeah. Don't be a minor.
I don't want to go to jail.
You just got teen out of your name. Like,
right.
now you're a mom.
But I have a lot of employees
How was
who
it
are
being
young
a pregnant teen? I'm just kidding.
You know, I think it's
Which
so
isn't funny, guys.
I don't know. I know that my parents probably wished I would have waited a little longer, but I think it was cool, like growing up with Josh rather than like going the separate route, being in my own career, him doing his thing, and then
I'm not meaning married. Like how? Like you got
like
married what?
motherhood?
19, and then had a
20.
baby by 20.
yeah, married. What?
You got married at 20. Because I was 19.
January, May. Yeah,
Oh,
we
I'm
got
sorry.
married in May. I know.
I thought you meant you had a baby by 20.
So we were basically homeschooled.
So when did you have your firstborn? Colby, right?
Colby, yeah, in October. So it would have been 21. What?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Let me do the math.
So we were not homeschooled, but we basically our parents paid to homeschool
I was
us
21.
in a building. So here we are. Also, we're all homeschooling our kids. That's fine.
Okay, in my defense, it's an online charter school, so I'm not responsible for their education.
Yes.
I facilitate.
Nice. Yeah.
I let them do their own math.
What made you decide to homeschool?
So Colby, obviously the oldest, when I dropped him off in pre-K, he cried every single day. And I thought, it's fine. It's, he's my first. But I would sit in the car and think, why am I I can have a part in this. Why don't I would just drop him off and then go home. We are blessed that I don't have to work a job. So I would just go home and then let somebody else help develop him and all of that, which, I mean, nothing negative to teachers or whatever. All the more power to him. But I wanted that. I wanted to watch him learn. And it's so cool, though I'm not teaching them. I get to experience them figuring out the hard things. And I also relearn a lot of things with them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just felt like I'm here. This is what I'm for. He's mine to raise. So not
awesome.
that there's anything negative about dropping your kids off,
Yeah.
but everybody has their own story. So I just felt like I needed to do more. So
I love it.
I want to go back though. I want to go back further.
Yeah.
Like you had a baby at 21.
we think
Like 2021 ish, guys. But like
verdicts out
versus like Irene and I both had our first kid at 30. Like
I
that's
know.
10 years older.
Isn't it crazy?
We got to do the best friend pregnancy thing, but it was her fourth and my first. Which is weird, but it works for me because every question I had, I'm like, is this normal? What's happening?
How the heck do I know? I don't know. It was weird, but I love that. Like I kind of grew up with him. There's that too. So there's that bond, but still growing up with them, it feels like.
Yeah.
So then how like what are their age gaps? What is their
Colby is 12, Jude is 10, so they're 2 years apart, and then Nixon is 7, and Cooper is 4. So there's some more math for you.
Wow.
But there was a little bit of a distance between Jude and Nixon because Josh's whole sickness thing. So
do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't. It was weird. He's never.
Josh is your husband.
Josh is my husband. Never been sick a day in his life. Never like the kind that never had a cavity. Never did anything or had anything. And then he worked like 30 minutes away that day in Dalton, Georgia. And one of his coworkers who used to, he was just like not a distant friend, a friend, but he hadn't seen him in a while, called and said that he was taking Josh to the hospital, like out of nowhere. And anyway, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. He got sick. They took him to the walk-in in Dalton, whatever. And he called back and he said he has pancreatitis. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, does he take an antibiotic for that? Like, what's the big deal? And I remember being at the doctor with my boys, just a well check. So it was like no big thing. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Daniel and Tasha, drove down there to be with him. And then, like, it was crazy. I got down there and had to go pick up his car. And he said, I just want to let you know, like, I threw up in the car. I was like, oh, no big deal. It was like 117 degrees outside. And I was like, thank you for that. Yeah, because they were like, he's going to be here for a while. So we're thinking like 3 days maybe. And it was like, ended up being 57 and a few hospital transfers later. But it was crazy, like
57 days
from start to finish. But we were in one small town hospital, and that friend of his that came, he was on vacation and then came back and was like, hey, you might want to like try to get him out. They thought it was like gallbladder issues. Thankfully, like, I don't know where I never saw a doctor while I was there. Never. Only the nurse. And she was very mean to me. Like very stern. I could ask questions, but she wasn't going to answer them. So, and I'm just like, what is finger? I know. Well, if we were talking about that, it was a whole journey. But I never saw his doctor, so I didn't even know what to ask. We've never dealt with anything like that. So I'm just sitting in the room, giving the updates as I have them. And then one of the nurses comes in, and at that time they said pancreatitis. I have no idea what it is. Didn't even think to like try to look it up. She comes in like this hazmat gear at like 2 a.m. and wheels him off, has this gown on. She said, I have to take him. He's turning septic. And I was like, what does that mean? So I'm getting myself.
You were how old? You were still pretty young.
Were you also pregnant?
Not at that point. No. Jude was, it was 2015. So Jude was 2. Yeah. So he was pretty little still. But I'm like gathering my stuff to leave. And it's at like 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I remember because all of his family was at church or getting ready to go to church. And she goes, oh, no, you can't come. And I was like, pardon? No, we're taking him to the ICU. He's turning septic. And I was like, what? Okay. What does that mean? She wheels me off and I'm like, I have no control. She tells me to go sit in this waiting room in the hospital. It's dark. So I remember very vividly texting his family, he's turning septic. I have no idea what's going on. Nobody was in there. You already feel like super lonely. And I'm like, it's Sunday morning, like they're in church, whatever. But my mother-in-law ended up coming, and the friend of ours came back from his vacation, and he was like, hey, like, let's try to figure out, I guess they had bad experiences with church members there. So he was in the ICU, and I tried to go back there, and the lady was like, well, it's not visiting hours. I'm like, I'm his spouse though. And still like very timid, like, oh, okay, you're a doctor. You told me this. So I'm going with it. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm in the waiting room.
They bang on that.
Oh, for sure. In the waiting room, just waiting to hear an update if my husband is fine, because I still have no idea what's going on. And then our friend comes and he's like, I'm just going to tell him that I'm your pastor, roll with it. I'm like, okay. We go over there, push the little button, and he said, I'm the chaplain, and they let him back, but like the spouse couldn't. So I just walked back with him. He said, just come with me. So we go.
Good for this friend.
I know. And anyway, he's trying to tell Josh, and I was like, Josh is not going to go anywhere. You're good luck. You can move them. Like, I didn't even know I could say, I don't want him here. He needs to go somewhere else. Had no idea I had that power. But it had to be me to say it. So Josh worked for Memorial Hospital and had just left and started with the power company, but he was like the liaison. So he had a few names in his phone that I could remember. And one of them, I can't even remember her name now. Just thought to call her, and I was like, hey, Josh is here. And she was like, what? And evidently, come to find out, like, she was a higher up. Like, you don't just call her on a Sunday afternoon.
Good for your thought, though, to call that person.
Well, I knew nobody else, but Josh, not that he was stubborn. I love him, but he was so stubborn. Tony was like, there was his name. Tony Helton. He was the one.
Your friend.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know him?
Why would I know who that is?
Jake would know him. I don't know why you would know him. Yeah, never mind. Jake would know him. Anyway.
I actively avoid people at all costs. I don't know. I am not Jacob. We are not the
Very
same.
True. Anyway, so I remember sitting with a lady, and she had like the full nurses. I was so intimidated by her. But I was like, I want to move him. Like, we live further away from here. We want him in Chattanooga. And it was so crazy. And I remember they finally worked it out. They got him in like the Heart Tower or something. He shouldn't have been there, but they made it work to get Josh there. And the doctor was like,
is that a hospital?
Yes. Sorry. I feel like you know all the things. Anyway, so in Chattanooga, that's where we wanted him because that's where we live. And he knew the coworkers and stuff there. So they had a spot for him. They're like, okay, we have a bed available. They can't accept you unless there's a bed available. There wasn't one, but they made one available in the heart tower. He had no business being there because he's not a heart patient. But they made it work out. So the ambulance rolls in, and I obviously have to get a car there and all this. I have I knew nothing. So I remember calling my mom, and it was a Sunday, and she steps out of church. I'm like, Mom, they're taking him via ambulance to another hospital. And she started breaking down. She's like, is your dad there? And I'm like, what does that matter? But at that point, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like serious. Yeah. So they moved him to Memorial. He had the best care, fantastic care. And then they determined it was pancreatitis. They didn't know like the cause of it. Everything was so swollen and inflamed. It was it's crazy. His levels were like off the chart. And typically if you're a pancreatic patient, you're a heavy drinker. So they like weren't buying it that he doesn't drink. He's like, I've never drank a day in my life. And they're like, okay, whatever. Like you just want
Also, how much do you have to drink to have pancreatitis at 27, 28?
It would probably have to be
crazy.
A heavy amount.
Yeah. Is it also like a heavy medication or did something like, did anything happen? Like, did anything like happen beforehand?
Well, that's why they thought it was gallstones that blocked the duct or whatever. And then it was just like spewing acid stuff that made his enzyme levels insanely high. And I remember like him begging for medicine. The lady was like, we'll get to you. And I'm like, okay, like, no, you go out there and you say, if you're here, whatever. So we got him transferred to Memorial, the best care ever. And then he went downhill again and they moved him into ICU. And I came down with a stomach bug. And at this point, they were getting ready to like put him on the table, take out the gallbladder and all this stuff. And a lot of people from the outside are like, you need to transfer him somewhere bigger that can better take care of him. Memorial's a fantastic hospital, but they're known as like the heart hospital. If you have heart problems, go to Memorial. If you have anything else, go to Erlanger, right? But they got us in, whatever. It was a godsend. So,
how long were you there?
At Memorial, I can't even tell you. It was probably a good chunk, maybe 30-ish days. And we would, like Sarah, my sister-in-law, would come and sit in with them. Thankfully, my sister lived not far, so I could go there and shower, and she kept the boys. Like, it's amazing now to look back. Like, I have kids. I need to take care of them. But, like, the amount of support that just flew in, and I didn't really have to worry about that because I didn't even know right from left at that point. But they moved him into ICU at Memorial, and he, like, I remember, I forget her name, but I remember she had like a broken leg. So she was on one of those little wheelie things. She was the best ICU nurse, but I was starting to feel really nauseous. And I thought, I just haven't eaten. Like it's getting to me now. But sure enough, I had a fever and all this stuff. And I had to step out. And my brother-in-law, Steven, came and he was in there. He and Daniel were in there with Josh. And it was looking so grim. And then finally, they determined I couldn't go in there because I like was actively sick with the stomach bug or something. So I'm like, okay, I'll go back to my sister's. I was the most miserable I've ever been. Body aches and all that. And at that time, my mom was already on her way. Like mom came and I needed her so badly. But while I was gone, they called the family in to say goodbye to him. And I was like, I can't go in there. My mother-in-law was there. And finally she asked the surgeon, he was great. But she said, if this was your son, what would you do? Would you keep him here? And nobody at a hospital is going to be like, transfer him out. We can't handle him. That looks really bad on the hospital. Yeah. And Josh was the physician liaison for that hospital. I don't know how much of this I can say. Anyway, so it would have looked bad, headlines, the physician liaison, whatever, or if he died in their care, whatever. But he said I would transfer him out. So thankfully that doctor was humble enough to know that he couldn't care for Josh the way that he needed to be cared for. So and we had a pastor friend from North Carolina come from North Carolina to say, you need better care. Like it took so many outsiders, and I'm thankful for the concern because I had no idea. So
how did they know what was better for him?
I don't know that they knew that it was better, except he wasn't getting better and he was declining. And it was always just like, but it's so hard to tell when you don't know anything, which now looking back, like do your research, know things, but
because sometimes you have to be your person's advocate.
And it took that for me to know, no, I I can tell you no. I can say yes. You are working for me. If I don't want to be here, I don't have to be. So I didn't know any of those things until now. But now I'm like, let me in that appointment. you know?
Yeah.
But I guess learning the hard way. Oh, for sure. So they put him in an ambulance again, took him up to Vanderbilt. At that point, like I'm still not able to see him because I'm vomiting up whatever. My in-laws went up there with him and got him up there. And the nurse that met him at Vanderbilt, she introduced herself or whatever. And it's so wild the way that God worked it all out, because my brothers-in-law were singing in Pennsylvania or something, and they're sharing Josh's story to have people pray for him. And the parents of the nurse, they were at the church in the concert that they were singing at.
Crazy.
She was like, I heard the name. No, it was wild. Like, she was meant to be there. Like, it was just a huge God thing. And I needed that so bad. And once I got up there, I was like, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I did not grocery shop by myself. Getting married so young, Josh, I would save he traveled on the weekends. I would save the grocery shopping until he got home, because I don't do stuff by myself. Growing up in a cop's home, like, everybody's out to get me. So not a chance. Yeah. And then he's just like non-existent. I can't, like, he paid the bills. I did absolutely nothing. And side note, like, know your money situation, know all of those things. I didn't. So it was just wild. And like, I never drove by myself. My mom and my sister had to. They literally were so gracious and had Colby and Jude in the car. And I followed them up to Nashville because I had to have a car while up there. And then they drove home. They literally just like caravanned me up there because I was so scared.
How far is that?
It's about 2-ish hours, but it's so wild. And I would hate to say that the Lord allowed it for me, but I feel like he did, because I was so reliant upon Josh, which there's such like something to be said of that. Like, I would trust him with my life, obviously, as it should be with a spouse, but it was almost not detrimental for me, but in the sense that like, I never had a care or concern because I knew he would fix it.
Yeah.
I knew like he
probably
was
also made you rely on God more.
That's absolutely it. And he like pulled that away from me, and I'm like, okay, like I can't go, hey, like help me have a good day, because you're actually dying and I can't siphon that from you. So it was like a whole journey for me to, and obviously it was for him. But it was wild. But I remember coming home from Vanderbilt. That was a scary drive. I never did anything by myself, but coming home from Vanderbilt to the house without Josh, and the boys weren't there either. And then I thought, like, and am I going to have to come home to this, like, actually without him? And the realization of that was so wild. I mean, I was young still.
How old were you at this time? I keep asking that question.
Wait, give me the year. It was 2015?
2015.
Then you were 26, because I was 25.
Yeah, I don't even know. I had
Our birthdays are 8 days apart, and 1 year and 8 days apart.
1 year and 8 days. Yes. So, I mean, it's still young, but it was just, it feels like such a whirlwind in the middle of it. But there were so many things along the way.
It's a lot to go through at 26.
Yeah.
And 3 kids.
With the babies, it's just, I don't know. Like, I didn't want them to know, but also, like, am I going to have the time? Like, I distinctly remembered those certain instances, like realizing I'm going to leave without him, like actually leave permanently without him. And then I have to have that conversation and just finally being by myself and processing it. When you're there, you're just like fight or flight. Like, I'm going to get Chinese from the cafeteria and Starbucks. They have my order memorized and you just get in the routine. And then you go home and like, oh no, this is the norm. Yeah. There's his laundry that I need to wash still. But, and just, it's so weird. Like, we had a beautiful view of downtown Nashville from our spot, like as he was getting better.
Was he awake during all this?
Yeah, a lot of times when he was as sick as he could be, he was sleeping because the pain medicine would knock him out, and thankfully it did. But he had procedure after procedure, like a pancreatic debridement where it just like scraped the dead part of the pancreas off. But they likened it to the pancreas to a stick of butter. Like, once you start, or like wet tissue, once you start, like, it's just like, there's never a clean edge. It's always just like dead and dying. So it was a miracle that he was even stable enough. But I remember them saying, if he walks out of here a full-fledged diabetic, count yourself lucky. I'm like, okay, like that'll be our new normal. But he is considered diabetic, but he takes such great care of himself in the gym and diet. He's not on insulin. He's not doing any of that. So he's literally a walking miracle. But I remember sitting in the hospital room and just watching people walk in and out. We had the view of where they park in the parking garage and then come into the main entrance. And just watching those people, like, they're so normal. Like, they're coming and they're leaving. I will never have that. And now I remember posting something about it on Facebook. We parked in the parking garage, drove like angrily, like, oh, no parking in this perfect spot that I saw the window where we sat. And this part makes me emotional because I'm watching it now from that side. And here's me, like, we're going to go eat Culver's crap food on the way home. But like, I am here in this new normal. And I remember leaving that appointment because we wanted, like, it's a whole thing. Like, the pancreatitis didn't necessarily almost kill him. It was the
sepsis.
No. Oh my gosh. They weren't tumors. What? My mind is completely blank, but they were hemorrhaging, whatever. I cannot even think what the word is.
Ulcers?
No. Oh my word. It was just like a pocket of fluid that normally your body would absorb and it would go away. His didn't, and they were hemorrhaging and all of that. That completely slipped my mind. Anyway, but he started gaining weight like a couple years ago, and I'm like, something's not right. Like, you're in the gym. He's still, from when he left Vanderbilt and could manage to get up, like, his goal for the doctor gave him a goal of just walk on the treadmill 15 to 30 minutes, and that's all you're going to be able to do. Josh was like, the heck if I am. I have boys at home. So he's just like, he puts me to shame in every way, in the best way. But I forgot where I was going with that.
You noticing that he was something was off.
So we went back and he had his checkups and all of that, and then had been released. But like, I wanted answers like, oh yeah, there is something there that needs to be fixed. But we didn't really get the answers. And I remember being so annoyed, like, I want the answers. And it was that day that we were sitting there, and like, how much I took for granted. Like, he drove me. Josh couldn't drive for the longest time. After that, I had to start driving, had to start doing all of the things that I had never done, but I just took it all for granted. And I still do, because he deals with chronic pain. It's going to be a part of his life for forever, but he doesn't want to live on medication. Like, afterwards, they sent us to like a pain clinic where they would manage all of that stuff for us. And when they released him, they're like, we normally don't see people. Like, when you're coming to us, you're coming for long-term care. And he wasn't that. Like, for them to be able to release somebody like him, it was just, they didn't know how to handle him because they normally don't do that. Like, you're a patient for life with them to manage your pain. But I mean, it's a testament to his determination and drive. I don't have any of that. And I don't know. It's just,
you have your own version of it because you had to survive that too.
Yeah. I know,
and
it's hard to,
and still mother
boys,
and so that's a lot of.
I had the best support group. Like, I would have not cared for my kids as well as I should have. But I don't know, it's a wild story.
Yeah. And now he's getting, I don't know if you've seen it, but he started the Center Fit workouts, which is Chris Hemsworth's company, and they share his post all the time, like his before and afters. So we are 1 degree away from Chris Hemsworth.
I know. Are you kidding me? She doesn't.
I know the name.
She doesn't watch superhero.
Neither
anything.
do I, but
how do you not? You have 4 boys.
I know.
I'm at like every.
Is it Thor?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am at every Marvel premiere except the most recent one.
I'm not. They'll like tell me storylines. They watch all of that stuff, but I'm like so far behind. Like, where do you start? I know the characters, but that's about it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Does a good job. I don't.
That's awesome. No, you do. You do a great job.
He's I don't know.
You do the best you can with what you got.
Yeah. That's for sure.
And the time you got, because you have 2 businesses and 4 children.
Yeah.
Yes.
So sorry, that question kind of.
Yeah, that's all right.
But I think it's important information because it's.
Yeah.
Do you think that situation propelled you into any of the stuff that you're doing now?
I don't know if it propelled me, except that the busyness, like doing something. I mean, I don't know if it is this way for everybody, but I have to be, or like up here will be wild. I have to work it out, and like the creative outlet and all that stuff. Though obviously while Josh was in the hospital, I'm not building furniture and renovating rooms.
Yeah.
But still, I think it helped me to figure out how to channel things better and know, like, the way that we grew up, like mental issues with like, you're not.
If you're just pray a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And if you're having
doing something wrong,
you're not saved. Go rededicate your life.
Yeah. No, and it's so, I hate to think about the people that still, especially like young
That
moms.
hurts.
Yeah. It's wild. Like your brain
That's why people,
is an organ, you know, it's part of your body. If it's hurt, like figure it out.
Yeah. That's why I didn't like church for a long time.
Well,
is because of things like that. Like, like getting like there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom, but I was just handed a pamphlet that was like how to be a stay-at-home mom instead of like a college career pamphlet like the guys.
Yes.
And I was like, what? But I just want to see what my options are. Like I just want to see. And
you're not just
there's just so much limiting belief in the way we were raised. And yeah.
It's I don't know, but it's sad to see. But and I don't know. You have to figure out the way to deal with your own things. But I think now, I mean, if I'm not working on a project or doing something, but I've figured out like I need that creative outlet. So it works well with cakes because that's a creative medium, and now furniture and anything else that stands still long enough.
And your cakes are amazing. I wish you lived closer because every time I have to make my kids a birthday cake, I'm like, don't look at it. This does not look like a T-Rex.
Oh my goodness.
But
no.
So for the podcasters, because I forget to talk to people like all of these people don't know you. But what propelled you into cakes?
So when we first got married and Josh was traveling every weekend, that is when like Cake Boss and all of that on TLC was a big thing. And I thought, I'm bored. I could try to channel this. And my mom was always very artistic. She can draw beautifully. Can sew literally anything on the planet that you want. She was always really
side note to that, I remember all the times I would spend the night at your house and she would be up till like 3.
I know.
And then she'd get up at 6 and go to work. And I remember thinking, I was so tired. I was like, I can't wait till I'm a grown up and I have as much energy as that. And I'm like, I think your mom was just like,
she's crazy. She still does it.
Just didn't need sleep.
No, she's amazing.
I'm old and now I really need sleep.
I know. She's still the same way because now she's like parenting my kids and it's so great. But I don't know, she's very creative in that way and just like a figure outer, which my dad always raised my sister and I to be that way too. Like, though he didn't raise me like, I don't need no man, because clearly I didn't grocery shop without Josh. But I don't know where I was going with that. Speaking of brain, something's wrong with the focus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought I could try that. And then I just love doing it. And then having Colby, and they can be pretty pricey. And I thought, I'm not going to pay someone when I can do it myself.
Yep.
So it's really the basis of DIY for me is I want pretty things and I don't want to pay an arm and a leg for them. So I figure it out myself.
So you get roasted a lot on Instagram for all of your DIY stuff. Yeah. But like, what would you tell younger people the perks of DIY versus, just going to get us a lot of hate, maybe versus a formal education? Not a formal education, but
being like taught in the
self-taught. Because I know that was one thing on the Amazon show that it was just like self-taught, and they made it almost seem like it was not a good thing to be self-taught.
Like, how are you even here?
Yeah.
But they did in one of the episodes say that Dr. Seuss was self-taught, and there's something to it. But I think an advantage, just from my viewpoint, would be like, it doesn't really scare me if I don't know how. Like, I will figure it out because that's how I learned to do this. I tried to figure it out, and not perfect every time, but maybe if you're taught a certain way, like you do it that certain way.
And then if you can't
forever,
do it that way,
you just don't do it because but I knew nothing. So all of it, I'm not afraid to try to figure it out. So, and that's with cakes and furniture and renovating and stuff like that.
So for those of you who don't know, she was on a TV show on Amazon Prime. It's still available, right?
The Dr. Seuss Baking Challenge.
Yeah.
Season 1.
Season 1.
Season 1.
With one of the Maori, Tamara.
She was so great.
My childhood.
I know. And it was so weird. I always get nervous, like thinking if I meet somebody famous, it's going to ruin them. But she was so like, I love you.
Awesome.
I just want to just hug her. And, but you can't.
Awesome. You can usually kind of tell, like, I don't know. I feel like by people's demeanor and like, kind of tell if they're actually the way that they are in real life.
Yeah. No, she would make it a point to talk to us. And like, I guess she was on some sort of, I don't know if it was like Cupcake Wars or some sort of thing. She's like, I've been where you guys are. And like,
she competed in
she was on some baking thing.
She's a baker. I used to follow her. I don't remember what.
Yeah.
But you could tell she was like super humble. And I loved that because it's not everywhere. But she would come and mingle with us while we were eating with the cast.
Connect the dots for me. You made cakes for people in Georgia. Mm-hmm. You posted photos on Instagram. How did you go from that to being on the Amazon Prime?
So there was I got one email years ago for Cupcake Wars or something. And typically you have to put in you have to apply for them or whatever. I had never seen anything about it. They messaged me on Instagram, and I don't have a large following on my cake page. It's more my DIY stuff that I kind of channeled and just for business purposes had the cake one.
Local business.
Yeah. So they messaged, and it was a casting company. I was like, whatever, that's spam. And then I thought about it, and I sent it to my sister-in-law, Sarah, and I was like, do you think this is real? And she Googled it, and it popped up a New York City thing. She was like, that's legit. I was like, oh, okay. So I emailed them back. They said they didn't tell me at the time that it was Dr. Seuss. They just said it was a baking show. Would you be interested in hearing more? And I was like, sure, why not? And literally from when I said yes to here's your plane ticket, it was only 2 weeks-ish from when I knew I was going to go. So I didn't really have a chance to be like, heck no, I'm afraid of that. Which I've always thought the opportunity would be cool, and then here it was handed to me. So I would be stupid to say no, but I was scared as heck because I'm not formally trained back to that. But also I just
But those trained people were also scared.
Yeah. But then they did all of the background check and stuff. And I remember having the Zoom call interview with a psychiatrist. He's like, this is reality TV, though it's Dr. Seuss and it's lighthearted. It's reality TV at the end of the day. And I was like, it's fine.
Do they do that to see if you'll be entertaining? Or do they do it to see if you're going to panic?
Both. They probably wanted you to be mentally ill.
I know, I am so fine. I'm fine. I don't know. I feel like it's a liability. If I get cut, I'm like, I hate all of you.
Because even if I watch Survivor, I'm like, how did that person get picked? Unless,
I know.
They have to have just been picked for entertainment.
Yeah, for sure. They need a flair for dramatics. I did not give them that on camera. Probably in the pocket in the bathroom. They heard all of the things.
Yeah, because you can't. So if you're on TV show, I only learned this from the Office Ladies podcast. When you're on TV and you have to go to the bathroom, you are still mic'd up. You just have to go.
Yeah. I mean, if they want to hear
What if you got to take a dump?
You just go.
Sorry if you're listening.
Those poor sound guys. They're like, oh, God.
I mean, they do dating shows and wild stuff. So I doubt they're like, what is this mama for talking about in the bathroom? They're like, I miss my kids. Oh, I know. It was wild. But then I was introduced via email to my partner, and she was a mom and same worldviews and Christian and all of those things. So she was a godsend in that because we were so like-minded. Yeah. But if I had some, and I thought for sure, because
you're teammate. Right? Okay.
Yeah. They had a cake artist and a pastry chef. So she was pastry chef. I was cake. But they asked so many, it was so weird too. They asked background questions how did your dad treat you when you were little? What was your relation? It was so
they were trying to figure out ways to poke you there.
I don't know, which obviously they asked not necessarily political things, but they knew I was a Christian. They knew that we went to church and raised my kids that way. Yeah. I am married to my husband, just whatever. But
things that are not popular these days.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of them were about my upbringing, which was so weird to me. They wanted to know how my daddy daughter
this could get interesting.
I know. There were 600 something questions. Oh, and I was sweating, if I get them wrong, are they going to come after my dad or something? Yeah. How was discipline in your home? Very deep questions. Yeah. So I have no idea why. I don't know. So I thought for sure, because they were asking stuff like that, they're going to pair me with somebody the complete opposite just to watch the chaos. Yeah. Couldn't have been further from the truth, though. And That's awesome. So thankful. But she was great. Yeah. She was great for me, too.
Good. So when did you start building furniture?
We moved into our house in 2019. And I remember for Christmas, because we rented up until then, and you could just barely do things in a rental. But I really didn't get into it until 2019 when, for that Christmas, we moved in the week of or Thanksgiving. And Christmas, I asked for a miter saw and a nail gun. Didn't get the nail gun that Christmas, but I did get a circular saw and all of the basic drill tools. And then just
Josh didn't have those?
No.
on, Josh.
Oh, no. I think he happily was like, yeah, here, have at it. It's funny now because he'll be like, hey, where is your, like, whatever tool? Where is this? And I'll tell him where it's at. I love it, though. It's like, I have my tools in the garage, and Josh, like, he is a laundry machine. Like, he does more laundry than I do. He cooks more dinners than I cook. And I'm like, I'll catch you. I'm going to go change the oil. No, I don't do that. But I would probably.
I sent her an audio for you.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
An audio on Instagram.
It was fun. It was something about like everyone thinks my husband wears the pants on the family.
Josh made a reel of that. Yes.
Did he?
Like my wife is the man of the house. That's really how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, he would do anything in a heartbeat, but he's not like too proud to be like, yeah, here.
Yeah.
You have at it. And I love that. Like he's never made me feel less than. I will tell you this story. I was in Home Depot purchasing wood, and there was an older man, and you get looks already going into Home Depot. Like, are you lost? Like, what are you looking? And I'm like,
what can I help you with, little darling?
I know. Are you sure that's
where's
what
your
you want?
smile? It's like, I'm gonna punch you in the face.
How about a fist? No, but there was an older gentleman walking by, and he there was a younger boy with him, like maybe 7 or 8, walking with them. And I just smiled, and I'm like filtering through all of this lumber to find straight boards and all that. So I'm like handling things, putting them on, like in the middle of stuff. And he said something about women being in here, they need to stay in their lane. And he didn't say it to me, whatever, I don't care. But he said it to the little boy, and I thought, like, he's putting all of that in his head, like such toxicity.
Did you say anything?
No, I just smiled because I thought, like, what are you talking? Like, am I in your way? Because like he said, stay in your lane. And then I thought, no, that's exactly what he meant. And it made me so furious, but also so thankful that my husband's not like.
That means his ego is.
Oh, I know.
Well, I mean, I guess when he has too much ego,
right?
Or like he's just he's an insecure old man.
Yeah, it's so. But I mean, it's not even just like the older people, and now putting stuff out there on Instagram. Like my stuff had always been private, and then me and my sister-in-law did a few things. But then once I opened it up, like you have to have tough skin.
Yeah,
and I would like to think that I do. And I don't get mad when they're like criticizing, like, oh, that's an ugly closet. Oh, I wouldn't choose that paint color. There's a couple that like really, in fact, one of them I sent to Josh because that one really got under my skin because he said something about me objectifying myself in what I wore. And then people were like getting on, like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I was in athletic shorts, yoga pants. I wore overalls for goodness sakes one time. Like those are real hot. But something about objectifying myself, and everyone was like, if you're making this, if you're making it weird, you're the problem here. There was nothing about it.
Yeah.
And then he said, if she was in a pair of coveralls, she would not have the platform she has.
Oh, geez.
There's nothing unique about her gift or nothing unique about my content or whatever. If I was in coveralls, I would not have a platform.
Yeah.
I was like, ew, why? Like the thought.
That's where you just block.
Yeah. I know, but it's like, it doesn't get to me like it's going to stop me, but it's just like consumes me in that, why are people that way? They're so ugly about it. And it was on a text message because I screenshot it and sent it.
He's jealous.
But it's wild to me. Like, I mean, thanks for, you think I look good and I can wear clothes, but also stop looking. Like, I can't figure out the audacity of somebody just to type that to a stranger, you know? But I sent it in a screenshot to my husband and I was like, oh, that one was mean. And my 9-year-old was looking at something that Josh had sent, like a baseball clip or whatever. And he saw it. He was like, oh, somebody said that to you? And I was like, yeah. Like, I hate that it's a teaching moment, but like kids that are bullies turn into grown-ups that are bullies. And it's so
they don't just miraculously be kind.
I know.
When they're older. So.
But I also don't want my kids to read that about me. So I go back and forth all the time. And I talk to Irene about this often. Like, part of me wants to just recluse and not show you my kids, not show you anything about me and my life. But I mean, it's 99% great and encouraging and makes me feel like I could take on the world with a hammer and a drill. Yeah. And then there's just
and you're teaching 4 boys, like, it's okay to be strong, but it's also okay to let your wife help with stuff.
Right. And I want them to not be afraid to try to figure something out.
Yeah. Well, and like they're seeing like the meanest, like they're someday probably going to read those comments or like see or hear about it. And they're going to be like, huh, but mom still did it.
Yeah.
Mom still posted videos. Mom still built her career. No, she didn't quit or like let someone speak death over her life.
Yeah.
And or insecurity. So
yeah, that's true.
or that like you can be down for a minute and be like, okay, that hurt, that sucked.
Yeah,
Let's keep going.
Yeah,
like that's
and I mean it
resiliency.
does fuel me just to prove you wrong, and that's more of like how I am. Like if I can't figure it, like if I don't know something, I have to figure it out. I need to be the one to figure it out because I want to prove someone wrong. But also like it goes deeper into tell me I can't. Because I will. Yeah. I won't do it right the first time probably, and I'll show you all of that. But I'll figure it out. But that goes back to being self-taught because that's how you figure it out.
Yeah. So my husband, have you met Dave? Mm-hmm. When?
In passing here and there.
Okay.
That's great. Dropped me off at her house one time on the way from Atlanta to...
He was there when you did my hair in the back of the van, right? Because we ate at P.F. Chang's after that.
Yeah, we did.
Starbucks.
I have
in the back of the murderous van.
She we're both 150 months pregnant.
I know. It was wild.
Why do I remember that? Why was Dave there?
It was a green shoe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's why I don't know. Because I was like, I would have been there. It doesn't matter. But my husband was raised like within the school system and then went to like 6 years of college for his MBA. So he's very traditionally trained, whereas I was homeschooled and dropped out of college. So like, but we have had, like, we've started many businesses together, done lots of ventures, built lots of things together. Like, he's like, your brain is different than mine, right? His brain has adapted a lot, but he's like, but similar to you where it's like, okay, we don't have that tool. What can we fashion to make it happen? Because we don't have the money for that tool right now or whatever.
Yeah.
Like let's just figure it out. And that's what you have. Like you have that tenacity to like, watch me, move out of the way. Let's go.
I know. I feel like I need to hone it in sometimes because I'm like, Josh, just let me do it. Like he also is the head of the home, so step back a little bit. But I don't know. We make a really good team, and I love too that my boys get to see that. I don't want them to marry some woman that's just going to truck over them. Yeah. So also try.
Have you seen those reels of like? Of moms like teaching their sons how to clean or cook, and it's like
son's not gonna give her stovers.
I love that. It's like it's so but the evil looks on the mom's face. I'm like, so she won't be impressed by you, Jakey.
Oh yeah. I saw more of the dads with the daughters thing, and I'm like, taking offense to that. And then I stumbled across some with the mom. I'm like, yeah. I don't know, but I love that they get to see that. Like Josh is not afraid to wash the clothes, and like I mean, he can see. Obviously, I'm not doing the laundry. You have clean clothes. I'm in the garage. Yeah, but he's not afraid of it. He's not afraid to cook dinner.
And that furniture, like some of the furniture can get crazy. So I'm sure he's happy too that you're not like, can I just have the credit card so I can buy this $4,000 dresser?
No, he's probably like, get the crap out of the garage. I'm like, wait, I can build a couch out of that. Don't you dare throw away that 1 2x4. Yeah, it can get out of hand, but I can always use it.
It's a good skill.
Yeah,
it works well.
Is there? I want to kind of go back to reality TV.
Yeah,
like. Give me the legit lowdown. Like what did they not show?
What are you allowed to say and what are you not allowed to say?
I didn't read like all the fine.
You didn't?
You did or didn't?
I don't know. I don't know how much I can say of it. Like
she signed something without reading the fine print.
Fly me to California. I know.
They were like, ooh, tickets.
Yeah, right. No, basically, that's how it went down. I don't know how much I can say. Yeah. Like about production wise, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, what did they lie about?
I don't know that they lied.
What did they twist? What can you share?
I don't know. I really want to have this conversation off camera because I have a lot to tell you, but I don't know how much of it I can say.
So then, how would you find out? Like, we can talk off camera.
It's a good off camera conversation.
I know because you've told me.
I know that she couldn't go, which I thought was dumb, but
I'm sweaty.
I don't know. It's hard. How do you negotiate with a major network or Amazon? You can't negotiate with Amazon, but she got approached by a second show, but she couldn't go on another show for 1 year post air date, not film date, and it was filmed in May and aired in November. So from November to November, she couldn't do the other show that approached her.
Not even film it.
Which I get that, like that.
They want the promotion to be saturated.
But I do feel like, I mean, it was an amazing experience, and I would not go. But I think like they had a storyline that they wanted to tell, which was fine, and I was happy to be part of it. But
so, do you think it was fair that the winner won?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she earned it. She's amazing, and I love to watch her Like I would just sit, and it was cool to watch it back because I could finally watch everybody else because they are incredibly talented. And just the fact that I was there was like, whoa, but also like I'm competing, and I wouldn't say against, like we were genuine friends. Like I remember, and there was one episode where I'm like sobbing because Kyle and Wei Wen left, and I was like, I love Kyle. And I was so emotional too because like you get there, and we quarantined for like, it ended up being like 6 days, just the way that like the dark days for production worked out. They weren't filming on the day that we were out of quarantine. So whatever. And then we finally got together with our partners, which it was Zoom. Like I don't carry on normal conversation while I'm so awkward. So like meeting this person, thankfully she was like everything I wasn't. And it was, she's worked in a kitchen, like run a kitchen. I work by myself. So I'm not used to working with anybody. I stay in my lane and do my thing. She's good at like knowing what the tools are called. And I'm like it's a spatula, the bent one, you know, like I know cake terms, but like, I don't even remember what they're called now, but like the big plastic, they're probably going to laugh if anybody in the kitchen realm hears any of this. But there's like words for those things. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. And she's probably like, WTF, what have I got myself into? But she ran it well, and it was fine. And she knew how to delegate. And I was like, all right, here's what I bring to the table. I'll do my thing. You do yours. So it worked well.
Yeah.
I was going somewhere. I don't
lost
remember.
it too.
Was there anything you would say to listeners about like being self-taught? Because I think there's a lot of insecurity with that. I had it with music because people, you know, like play big stages, but it's like there, you know, people would talk about the Nashville number system. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, I literally learned from YouTube, but that's like literally everything in my career. Editing, learn from YouTube.
Absolutely.
But also,
YouTube University. That's
but also
everything that you guys have done, you're now not sitting on $65,000 worth of debt.
Yeah.
No.
You get to just be free to create and do what you want to do.
I don't regret it. I don't regret dropping out of college.
Yeah.
Like,
what were you going for?
nursing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But then I got in there and I was like, oh, we're just medicating people. We're not actually helping people. And I was like, that's not my thing. So I left and I regret nothing. See ya. But okay.
I don't know. I think you just have to like embrace you're gonna screw up and make mistakes, more so because you don't know. But there's so much more in figuring things out the hard way. Maybe it's just like everybody learns differently, right? Some are, you read it in a book and you're good to go. I'm a like hands-on, I need to figure it out. But there is a lot of embarrassment, and there was plenty of that on the show for anybody that watches. Half of it, I'm like, ooh, what are you doing? And they were probably thinking the same, but whatever.
Did you even really have the ability to, probably watching it was a different experience because you couldn't watch them. You're too busy trying to beat the clock. So you couldn't really like, oh, what are you doing over there? That was fun.
And I mean, we could communicate with our partners, phone, Zoom, all of those things. But then like we had medical appointments when we first got there, like a ton of COVID tests every time you went to set. But I remember passing some of the people in the hallways and you're like, hey. But like at first you're kind of like, no, your competition, here's mine and my partner. We would go over here and talk about all of our stuff. But then like towards the end, it was just so much fun because I'm like, you're a mom, you're here. One of the girls, she had kids, and it was just neat to see like I'm competing with you guys, and like you're super good and own bakeries and all of these things. And it was, I don't know, it was really cool.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know, something to be proud of, I suppose.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah, you should be.
Cool.
For sure.
It was cool.
Especially
and I loved
because
that I didn't seek it out. Like they came to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of them applied.
That says a lot about you.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's weird because I had like 500 followers on Instagram. Like, why did they? I wish I would have asked that. Like, how did you find my stuff?
Well, I told you that.
Well, because Crocs shared it, right?
Yeah, I think
or was
it's
that
the Crocs
before?
thing.
I don't know if that was why. I should have asked. But yeah, Crocs shared that one. That one was wild.
Yeah.
A Croc cake.
That
Of all
was-
of
that
the
was
cakes,
really
I thought I'm
cool.
going to make it. It was not that one, but that one was fun.
It looked really good.
It looked great.
It was cool.
I have we just had a rant on, I don't know when that one's going to air, but about Crocs. Are you a Croc gal?
I'm not.
Thank God.
My son wants to be. Like,
I
literally,
wasn't.
He wants,
Somebody in this room.
I wasn't until 2 weeks ago.
Stop. You
I was on that I would rather die. And then Jake has had them for a year.
comfy.
And he's like, no, really, they're so comfortable. But then I forgot that he's 40. But
Oh no!
but
That's why
also they're so comfy. And Jake,
Ew,
he doesn't care what people think. So he'll wear it. If it's comfortable, he'll wear it. And he's like, no,
more
they're
power to you.
really comfy. And I'm like, okay. but I can't do it. And then we've been going to the pool a lot with the kids, and like I keep putting on my wet shoes, and Jake's Crocs are nice and dry. So that, and we're going on a cruise, and I'm like, look, I can't wear wet shoes all the time.
I can't with the tan line. I feel I have like the rubber. Like
if I get a tan from the cruise, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. I have the rubber like Birkenstock knockoff ones, and that's like as close to Croc as I'm gonna get. But now my son's like, I want Crocs, and not only do I want Crocs, I want to wear one black one and one yellow one.
No,
like, what is wrong with you?
Can you order them like that?
No, you have 2 pairs.
Of course. We got the kids fake ones from Kroger because they want them too, and I'm not buying $40 shoes for kids who are going to outgrow them in a week. So we got them from Kroger, and he got home and he's like, I don't mind have a crocodile. I was like, guess the crocodile doesn't fit on a small shoe. And then as long as he doesn't see Leo's.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
That'll get us by for a little bit.
My husband bought my daughter Crocs. And I'm not really into bright colors, and they're literally fluorescent pink.
See, I struggle with that. Like, I want my kid to look so cute, but also, like,
but mine's
give
little.
them the shoes that light up because they want Mickey Mouse hideous shoes.
Well, she doesn't know that exists. Like, so when she gets an opinion, she can dress however she wants. But he bought her the pink shoes, so now, like, they're on her shelf, and I say, go get your shoes. And she's like, my pink Crocs! And I'm like,
dang it.
That's great, but, like, now you're wrecking my aesthetic.
I think aesthetic went out of the window very fast.
Like, you think you have it longer than you do, and then all of a sudden you have a 2-year-old. I'm like, I haven't even had you dressed for 2 years. Why do you want to wear that shirt again?
Right.
Yeah. Leo was covered in peanut butter and jelly all day yesterday. All day. And it was like outside covered in dirt and peanut butter and jelly. And I'm like, I love this life for you, but like, you need a bath.
Yeah. We have some questions from Instagram.
I also have more questions.
Oh, good.
All right.
What are your questions?
I feel on the spot. You had to do those first because now I forgot. I have more questions. I know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll save it for the end.
Save it for the end because it'll have to be part 2 and I don't think we're going to air it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the raw motherhood wants to know, how do you do it all?
I don't. So I will just go ahead and say social media is a lot different than real life. Yeah. You only share like your highs and lows, but I try not to be that way. Just don't post stuff at all, I guess. Yeah. I don't, but it's just like the phase of life that we're in.
Yeah.
It's 100 miles a minute and you don't really stop.
Yeah. And Josh
and Josh
super helpful too. So it's a team effort. It's not just a one.
For sure. That was a great answer. That was it. Thanks. I'm so sorry, Josh, but that's it.
But it's true. Like when we did a podcast with the guys not that long ago, and Jake's answer to one of the questions is it's not always 50-50. Sometimes it's 80-20. Sometimes it's sometimes it is 50-50.
Yeah.
So it's
more often than not for him, he's like 100 and I'm like, I don't want to be touched.
But it's nice when you can like have someone in your life that you
someone that I
trust
don't even think about. Like that was terrible. Like I didn't think about like he's the reason that I breathe. No, he really is. Though. Like he keeps it rolling.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was telling her, I was like, it seems like when like the house is perfectly thriving, like the dishes are washed, the floor is cleaned. When it is like that, other things are failing. So like content creation is failing. Like the lawn isn't mowed, the chicken's butt needs cleaned, like weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then when when we're posting a lot of content, just know like my house is disgusting. Absolutely. Because that is taking the priority. Yeah. Or like, if Leo's being super demanding, all of that is falling to the wayside. Like it just you have to just.
Yeah. You got to choose your hard.
Yeah.
Or you're busy. But it's like all irons in the fire at this point in life with baseball. But I mean, he doesn't pick up the slack. Like he is more than that. I pick up the slack.
No,
I can prove you.
No, you do a lot.
He's great, but he does make it flow well. But yeah, it's not always done. Like when I did that closet, I was at their house almost every single day. Josh was doing dinner and ball practice and putting the kids to bed and doing what he could before he was so exhausted he went to bed. But house-wise,
balance wise, that was probably all you in the beginning, right?
What do you mean?
Of
early on when he was traveling.
That was you. Whereas now it's kind of not time for his part of it. There's a balance to it.
Oh, for sure. Sure. But that's with anything. But I love that he's not one that I have to be like, hey, can you, I'm like, oh, thanks. And I'm really bad about thanking. Thanks.
So if you were going to tell somebody younger how to pick a spouse, what would you say?
Like, say 2021.
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Because like I feel like all three of us have just like
Great.
no
ones.
marriage is perfect, but we all have great husbands.
Sure.
But
I don't know. And I think a lot of it goes to like growing together. Like we were babies and figuring out strengths and weaknesses. I don't know. Because I think I just lucked out. Like, because I went looking, found myself in the wrong spot more often than not. No, I remember when we were dating and he was like so committed and I was not that way. Not so committed, but he was just so, I don't know how to explain it. I'm the worst with words. But like committed from the get-go, like he knew what he wanted and I was like, whoa, like I'm backing out. I remember texting one of my friends, Caroline, I was like, I'm scared. I want to go home. But he was just so like, he knew what he wanted and he was great. And I was just so used to like I don't know.
The like, oh, I'm trying to figure this guy out, what he wants. And it's got to be off-putting to be like, he's telling me exactly what he wants. What do I do?
I know. Like I wanted that so bad until I actually had it. And I was like, whoa.
like, wait, there's no mixed signals here? What's happening?
I know.
Poor guys, they can't win.
I know. No, they can't. I know. I don't know. That's a hard one. I didn't give you a good answer.
That's okay. Right?
You don't have to.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I really do feel like I don't deserve, like I don't know. I don't know that I was looking for the right things when he came across my path. Not that I was looking for the wrong
that's where,
things.
Like, I mean, that's definitely where like God steps in and it's like, hey, actually, I know what you need more than you need in this,
for sure.
like even in the future.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because obviously when we were dating and first got married, I never saw my life as this. Like, him doing all that he does either.
What other questions do you have?
All right, let's see.
But also, he's not afraid to send me a picture of my favorite Cardinals behind because I like him. Tyler O'Neill. He's not very good, but he's hot.
Oh my gosh.
See, but it's fine. This is our relationship. Yeah. Like, he knows. So he sends me the picture.
That's
and I will send him pictures of Chris Hemsworth, and he likes him too. I'm kidding. He has
Is that Miley Cyrus's boyfriend?
No, that's his older brother. How often are you referred to as the wife of one of the Ball brothers?
Not often now.
Yeah.
Because
it's been a while since he's toured actively.
Yeah. I don't know. Going into their concerts this weekend, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's not a title I'm ashamed of.
Yeah. This is a good one. Tips for bonding with your sons. I've got 3. Also, what are some of your boys' favorite books? Or like your favorite books?
Like parenting books? Or like their like reading books? Bonding with
their
my
favorite
sons,
books to read.
They're not like avid readers. I'm embarrassed to admit. But I remember talking to you about Fortnite when Colby got real heavy into that. I have no idea.
And like, I do.
Irene, is it safe for my kid to play? Like, what do I need to know? I don't know. And I try to, if like you don't listen to the little things when they come to you, like the big things, they're not going to come to you with those either. So I try to, but it's so hard because I am all girl things, except like I do sports. We bond over sports more often than not, but video games are huge with especially my oldest right now. And I don't know anything about him. So I try to get into that, but also like, tell me your Pokemon and I don't know anything.
I also remember going to your house in high school though, to have a girls' day and eat ice cream, and you'd put on a baseball game, and I'm like, what are we watching? Like, it's the game. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna eat my ice cream. So that worked out for you having boys though, because you can actually, and if someone's like, I got a blah 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 blah, I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Great. Do I high five you or am I sad?
Go team.
Yes.
Score the points.
Yes.
Yeah, but sports is the biggest one, and I'm so thankful that Josh and I are like-minded in that, and that our boys love. So I would die if my kid was like, I don't want to play sports. Like, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Do it. I don't force them to do much, but I would.
Yeah.
Sports. But that's probably.
Were you in a sport?
Yeah, in a sport.
In our 45.
What is that?
Well,
how would you ask that question?
That was right.
I was laughing at our 45-inch culottes because we were in sports, but
No, I played real sports.
That's true. You did.
My dad was
did soccer
coach.
And
my mom will never let me live this down. The first time that I played t-ball, like first from the get-go, played t-ball, got on second base. We lived in New Mexico, so it's windy and dirt is everywhere. And I cried because the dirt was in my face and they had to haul me off. So that was not my sport. But I did soccer and cheerleading and
is cheerleading a sport?
Yes.
Yeah.
Competitive sport.
That could be your reel. You want people to get heated on Instagram.
Oh,
Ask their Instagrammers if cheerleading is a sport.
For sure is. I won't die on the hill.
You know how you were like, I'm so glad I can bond with Josh about our sports. I love that I can bond with my husband that neither of us know anything about sports.
Well, see, there's that.
Yeah.
I think it would drive Josh, and a night in our home would be so wild. Like we sit there and turn on a game.
Yeah.
And we're all
what game?
Baseball.
Whose game?
It depends on the season. Baseball season, football season, I'm not super into basketball.
So is it like because fall, summer, spring season? Are you talking about that season, or is it like
Well, like basketball's in the winter, football's in the fall. I'm going backwards. Baseball, summer, spring.
Baseball's like most of the year. There's so many games.
I didn't even know that the pitcher in baseball could pitch to other bases. I thought he had to pitch forward. I went to
You don't pitch to other bases, though. You pitch to the batter at home plate, and then you can throw them out at other bases. I love that you said pitch to other bases. Pitching, like you wind up for a pitch. They don't wind up.
They did wind up, though. They did this. I mean, I guess they kind of like snuck it. Like they were like
picking them off. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. They can do that.
All right.
You can throw wherever you want.
We are Under the Sun podcast, but we are not Under the Sun sports podcast. That is the extent, I think, of sports talk you'll hear from us.
Probably.
I love that. But yeah, that's a big bonding one for us.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah.
What is your favorite cake that you've ever made and your most embarrassing cake fail?
Oh, that's a hard one. My favorite one. I don't know.
It's the crock, isn't it?
I would love to say it is, but it's not, which is so funny because that one gained so much traction. I was like, but I have so many better things to offer. I don't know. I made a Georgia Bulldog cake, and that was one that I was like, how am I going to, sorry, the football team in Georgia. I thought, like, how the heck am I going to do that? And I don't even really remember the process of that one, except it turned out so dang cool. And I was like, how did I do that? But it was so great. But I loved that one. And then the most recent dinosaur cake for Cooper, that one was kind of fun. Worst cake fail. I haven't had many. I shouldn't even say that. But in North Carolina, they wanted a buttercream anniversary cake. And I was like, it's like 1,000 degrees.
Do you live in North Carolina now?
We lived in North Carolina for 1 year, like to the date. When Josh came off the road, we moved to North Carolina and lived there for a year and then came back to Georgia. So I did my business out there for a little bit, and they ordered, I forget what month it was. It was in the summer at some point, and like buttercream doesn't hold up well in the heat. I was like, sure. Like, so desperate for orders. I did dumb things and made dumb decisions, but I did it anyway. And they were like mountain delivery, and it was like melting. It was, I just wanted to bawl my eyes out. And I got there and I was like, hey, like, but she had been warned that the buttercream would not hold up well. And I was like, hey, I need to fix this. It was just a 2-tier cake, but it had completely melted off. No. I was mortified, but you have to take the cake. She's like, okay, well, you can fix it. So I'm on the back porch, like in the heat. And I was like maybe 35, 40 minutes from home. So it wasn't like go do it real quick. But Josh went home, picking up the slack, went home and made some extra buttercream for me because I was trying to scrape it off, but they had like little pearl things in it. So I couldn't, and there's crumbs in it at that point. So he went and made some, and Colby's in the car. He had the baby and went and made buttercream for me and brought it back. I was like, please just stay in the car. Because he's like, I can go or whatever. I was like, I need you just stay in the driveway. Don't leave, please. And I'm in there. Which I'm a stranger, so you don't have to welcome me in your house. But it was melting while I'm trying to put it back on. So I opened up, they had a fridge on the back porch, like their beverage fridge. And I'm like pushing all these like beer cans out of the way, stuck the thing in there. And I'm like in the refrigerator trying. She was so gracious, but I was humiliated. And I'm like, I'm never making a cake again. Never.
Yeah.
Here I am. But I think I say that every time I'm making a cake at some point in the process. I'm like, I'm not doing this ever again.
Yeah.
Never. And what's the next order? So I don't know. But I don't know that I had like a super fail.
What is that? What is that? Like when you're doing a thing that is like really challenging, you're like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing it again. And then you get done, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
But it's every single time. I've been doing it for like 12 years. Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know that I've had one that has just gone so well that I'm like, I could do this all day. But I do it all day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think that's something to your character too, is it's like, well, that was hard. Okay, let's do it again.
I'm just psychotic in that sense. I don't learn well. I learn the hard way every time.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different
results. I do that.
Oh, yeah. And do you want to hear the story of how we became friends?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we probably should have done that at the top.
Yeah. So
she's the guest. Let's have her to go first.
Yeah. Okay.
So we are new to this church, and
what type of church?
A Baptist church. Not new to church entirely, but we were sports people, so we did sports and all of that. But getting back in church, we stumbled across this church, and like, there's some cool girl there. But like, I'm not one.
Did they have Mighty Mouse pants?
No, those came later.
Probably had 15 button jean skirts.
Yeah, but see, like the skirt thing, like we weren't super heavy in that. Like we played the sports, wore the pants and the shorts and stuff. So that was kind of weird to me, but whatever. And one of the services that we were in, this girl with the long curly hair is like, hey, you want to come sit with us? And I was like, yeah. Fell into the trap.
You're so social.
She was so nice.
Wait till you hear my side.
And we like clicked. And I'm like, I might have friends. Like this church thing isn't so bad because we had just left another church, which was hard because I had connections there and was kind of stubbornly like my 12-year-old self, not wanting to make the move. But then I thought, I have a friend. It'll be fine. Later to find out.
I was not sitting in the second row because the teens had to sit in the first or second row or with your parents. And the youth pastor came up during, I don't know, like after the song service or something. Was like, hey, see that girl over there? I was like, yeah. He's like, why don't you ask her to sit with you? And I was like, no, thanks. He's like, that wasn't a real question. Go ask her to sit with you. I was like, okay. And then I was forced to.
The audacity of that. Like, why is that his job to tell you?
He wanted the new kid to be welcome. And
he wanted me to feel the way that I
think it had
felt.
probably been a couple services.
So good.
No one was talking. The girls were just there. And I don't know. Being social is hard, but I did not want to go ask her to sit with me. And here we are a million years later doing hair extensions in the back of a creepy van.
Why is your relationship always surrounded in hair extensions?
That's my identity now.
There was a day though, we were spending the night at her house and she was talking away and she thought, I don't know if you remember this, but she was talking and then she stopped talking. She's like, couldn't breathe. And we were like, what? She's like, I think I'm having a heart attack. I was like, what? She's like, I just can't breathe. She was standing on her curling iron, but for some reason, do you remember that day?
Gosh.
It like hit her chest instead of her foot nerve. And we're just like, what?
That is so weird. Like I forget things, but then I remember that.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Ew. We have the weirdest.
Yeah, I also remember, I was just telling a client this the other day that we would stick our head over the bathtub to wash it every day because we could not go anywhere without our, wouldn't wash our bodies, just our hair.
That's so embarrassing to admit. We would like never shower.
Because I don't wash my hair, but I can at least like throw a shower cap on and wash my body.
Ew.
But it's weird how
we're
things
admitting
flip.
that for everybody to know.
I've hit the age where I don't
real
care
gross
anymore.
on here. It's okay.
Awful. I do remember that. Like, why wouldn't I just like? But now at nighttime, I would rather take a full blown shower than just wash my face.
Yeah.
But back then, I'm like, no way, just washing my hair.
It's fine.
Not gonna shower. I don't know why. We were so gross.
So that's how we became friends. I was forced to be her friend, and she was so excited to be mine.
And she regrets every second of it.
No, never.
But how weird is it, the tie then? Because, I mean, that just shows you how small the Baptist circle is that Jacob, my brother, her now husband, knew her husband, Josh.
Yeah.
Like we basically, I don't know why. Why did we even know the Balls?
I was like in the younger church in Lincoln. So the parents.
And mom was friends with her mother-in-law. My mom was friends with her mother-in-law. This is all going to be very confusing. We'll make a graph. I'm just kidding.
Josh and I were just talking about this on the way here.
Your mom's sister was married to her mother-in-law's brother.
You know the family.
I lost that. Say that again.
Your mom's sister,
Karen.
Karen, was married to her mother-in-law's brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so your mother-in-law's maiden name is Duncan? Mm-hmm. I never knew that.
Also, I think your mom and her mother-in-law went to if I'm correct,
sing?
elementary school together or something.
No, they didn't sing. She didn't sing.
No, my mom sings, but
Your mom sang.
Yeah.
I know they've been friends since they were kids.
Yeah.
But it goes further than that because this is all from Illinois to Georgia to New Mexico and all over. The church she came to ours from.
Ashley did?
Yes. Their family came from a church in Albuquerque to our church. The church that she left, her youth pastor was a Tharp.
Oh, yeah. Youth pastor's wife. It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Josh actually came when I was probably 12 at that time doing the VBS thing. He and his brother Steven and then Jeremy Tharp and John Tharp, they came I think it was Josh's senior year or something. And I was like, Abby, I'm going to marry your brother. And Josh was there. I'm like, that's the one. I knew it because that's what you do.
Yeah.
So I was real heartbroken when he left and I didn't get to marry him. And then I was like, oh, Josh, you were on that trip. Josh was like, I wasn't going to rob the cradle. Not that I was a looker at 12.
So then what's your age gap?
He's 3.5 years older.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not.
It's not bad now, but he wasn't looking at me when I was 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Neither was the other one that I was like, you're it. You're the one. Oh, that's
small world.
It really is.
It is. Yeah. It's weird.
How do you think, you don't have to answer this. I don't edit, but you can just say I don't want to answer it.
I don't edit. That made me sweat.
Did it? I don't edit. I just think it's genuine. Yeah. I like that. I like people's honest reactions. You don't have to answer it. How do you think your upbringing in the you said you weren't that strict, your parents weren't that strict, but that upbringing, how did that, did that live with you for a long time? Because now you guys kind of aren't that way. By that, you wear pants now. You wear makeup and, you know.
I don't know. I think I was still young, so it's not like I was super set in my pant wearing ways. And it just at the time and where we were in life, that's what I knew and felt to be right. So it wasn't, I don't know.
Did you feel it to be right because it was actually right or because you felt pressured by the
I don't know that I felt
you?
pressured. I was genuine in all that I did.
Because your parents didn't really, we talked about this earlier, your parents didn't really make you not wear pants. And mine said mine told me we don't care as long as you're modest. But
I think mine were a little more gung-ho with it than yours maybe. But I knew that's not how we were raised, but I wasn't so defiant and questioning things, which now dummy, question things, seek things out for yourself.
Find it in the Bible.
Yeah. But I was incredibly naive for sure. But no, I felt it to be right. And so I did. And that's, where we went to school, I couldn't wear pants, so it wasn't ever really an option. But the culotte thing and running track, I remember the amount of fabric in that thing could
you should
it's crazy. I wish we had a pair to show them.
Yeah.
But I remember we were running track in our regional competition, and when those things you're running, you're seeing it all.
Everything.
Yeah. So it ain't modest, but I remember not being able to wear spandex. I cheered before that, so I've worn a cheer outfit, anyway, but you couldn't wear those under because then you'd be tempted to wear them outside.
And logic. It just
right?
goes right
it was
out the
wild,
window.
but little things like that, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But I wanted to be one of them, and I wanted to be in good standings. And I meant it genuinely. It wasn't I was trying to please them because I wanted to please them. But I guess that really was what it was. I wanted to please them.
Yeah.
I remember being at a revival once and being called out by the pastor that I was wearing flip-flops, and it was tempting to the men in the room, leading them to stray. I'm because the crease in your toes is reminiscent of cleavage.
That actually makes me want to vomit.
So,
but I get the feet
it explains
stuff now.
The feet people.
Yes, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
On
but those things like that, I'm that's why people leave the church and they say oh, churches are crazy. It's because there are crazy freaking people.
Right.
Been there, but I promise we're not all like that.
Is like that, and that's the sad part. You don't come back like to witness real, like,
not just like dictatorship,
Yeah.
but like actual genuine
Yeah.
spirit-filled people.
yeah, it's wild. But I mean, I don't know. I don't really want to like bash things. It's just so, I mean, that played a part in me and my story and how I got to where I am. So,
And it brought you to Irene.
yeah.
That's true.
Which then brought you here today.
That is true.
Yeah.
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 So take that. Thank you, Mr. Whiston.
I don't like it. How dare you have inside jokes with other people?
Gosh, we have
Isn't that so funny?
so
like when she talks
many.
about you and her best friend, I'm like, oh my God, she's not.
And I know Jeanette's at home listening saying,
I know. And
cannot
then there's Sarah at home, like my sister-in-law, and like we're best friends, but like I love someone.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It's just a whole different relationship.
We
It's a
should have-
trauma bond, right?
We should have
Yeah.
planned
We need to
do
get
some
all
reels.
of our best friends
Yeah.
together.
And do a girls' weekend.
That would be chaos.
somewhere. That would be great.
Chaos. You would hate it, probably.
I would rather
Because
be
I
a woman.
revert to. Do you remember one day when Chad called me a chameleon, and I was like, "You're saying that like it's a bad thing," but he said, "So, man, nobody knows what we're talking about." We had a youth pastor who one of our other best friends, Jeanette, was very
One of our other best
giggly, and Ashley was very like screechy. And I love my friends, so I can very easily just whatever my friend is. They were so like, "You're such a chameleon." You still say that like it's a bad thing. I can fit in like in my industry. If someone's in my chair, we are the same person.
Yeah.
And that is how I build a clientele because like
Yeah.
I can morph into what I need to be. But I'm also Enneagram 3, so it's my gift. But also. They were just like, when you're with Ashley, all you do is screech everywhere. When you're with Jeanette, all you do is giggle.
Dinosaurs.
But when I get with that group of friends, I revert back to the Fergie me. So
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
at
and,
my
like,
core,
you're in your 30s.
I am hot pink Volcom wearing Fergie listener.
Isn't that crazy?
I would still
I
wear it
just
to this
saw
day.
like I Love Skater t-shirt on a mannequin in a store at the mall. What? Like it's coming back.
It is.
I don't
I'm here
like
for
that.
it. I am here for it.
I mean, yeah, that's okay that that's you though, because that's like your,
It is.
if it's your genuine self. But I would stay home. But thanks.
But thanks.
I'm a hermit. What else you want to talk about?
Oh man, I had something. We can cut this out if it's not important.
No, we
but
can't cut it out.
Ilea can cut it out and she can fix it in post. But she was saying earlier, the dark side of social media is she does get the feet posts.
Yeah.
Like
What?
people
Yeah.
requesting her feet.
Yeah. Or
It's
making comments about it.
crazy.
A lot at
makes
first
me
was like,
sweat.
I
oh,
know.
like girls like jokingly free feet, don't put it out there. And I'm like, whatever. But they're like, I'm in like the trenches of sawdust and sweat, and like I don't always wear shoes, but like in the closet build and all of that. Yeah.
Do a
I mean,
reel
there's
where like
money
you're
to be
wearing like
had.
those like big fuzzy slippers.
That's what we sold in the mall.
We did. We sure
Oh,
did.
she got that one. Anyway.
Grandma
Like those
pants
big,
here.
the big fuzzy slippers, and be like, "This is how I'm gonna have to do all my work now because of you freaking
is.
creeps
Well,
and your
I
feet
mean,
pics."
Yeah, but I can
People
wear
are pervs and weirdos.
Isn't
That's why
it?
we don't put. Well, I don't know if you've officially, but like that's why I don't share my kid on social
Yeah,
media.
We were
stopped.
talking about that.
Yeah, we stopped a couple months ago too.
It's
but
Like I want to. Like my kid is freaking cute, and I like want people to see how cute she is, and how great.
know.
But I'm like, you pervs ruined it all. Like,
Yeah.
But
so,
that's
like-
why I like that, like share to your close friends story.
Yeah,
Because then you can
the
still
close
share it in your
friends.
stories, but only the people you select can see
Yeah,
it.
but it's just so I'm so sick. But even like talking about the shoe, like the flip flop thing, like
Yeah.
you're putting thoughts that aren't normally there of
Yeah.
a normal human, but you're putting them there, and then it makes them think something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a weird.
Which could segue us into the topic. We can make this a separate podcast later. Are you comfortable talking about the thing? Can you talk about the thing? What? Because we
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like
So what if we
self-defense-
talk about it?
self-defense like topics for women
Yeah.
to protect themselves. Like that's a pretty good tip that you
Yeah.
just
Oh, no,
happen
I
to
don't
know.
mind
Check it
talking
out, but I
about
don't know
it.
what you're allowed to talk about. Do you have any parting thoughts for our listeners?
for part one.
I don't know. How do you recap all of that?
That's
There's a
okay.
lot.
Where can everybody follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram, Builder Baker Boy Mom.
We'll have all the links in there too.
Yeah. I also have the cake page. If you're only into cakes and not DIY, they're kind of separated. But Builder Baker Boy Mom is where all the
Yeah.
all the content is.
Hooray.
Yay.
Thanks for driving 1 billion hours to drive out and also sit with us. Also get her hair done.
There's always hair involved.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
There always has been, though.
Yeah.
Lots of fun memories of curling your hair in a cabin the day that we all got scabies. And for those of you that don't know, scabies is skin lice. Don't go to camp.
Also shower. Probably was the problem from the get-go.
Oh, jeez. At least our hair was clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to this nostalgic, strange podcast.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for being with us today. Follow us on Instagram at @underthesun_podcast. We'd love to meet you.
Please help us out by subscribing on YouTube and leaving a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time. Please remember this information is made available to you for informational and educational purposes only. It is in no way a substitute for medical advice.